Good evening, everyone. I want to welcome you all to the Lansdowne Borough Council meeting, general meeting of November 15th, 2023. The first item that we have is the approval of the agenda. Would a council member please make the motion to approve the agenda? I would like to offer two amendments. The second item we have under the adopt resolution, but we don't have it under new business resolution 2023-33. And that should have a discussion before voting on. So,
And what is that resolution?
that's condemning Hamas violence, antisemitism. The next item that we have up, I'm gonna put it in this position, is the resolution 2023-33. This is a resolution I'm bringing to all of council. On October 7th, we all witnessed the news, the attacks that took place by Hamas on civilian residents in Israel, and I just want to
Mr. President,
yes,
on the agenda.
it's not on that. Yes, I'm putting it in
Okay.
here because Mr. Scott said that we did not have to make a
It's taken it out of order, sorry.
yeah. So we're going to discuss it there. Now we have a chance to discuss it before a vote takes place on it. And I do want to note that, like, when the attacks took place, that and some this is something that was very personal to me when I went into school on Monday. After I have a fellow teacher who son was in Israel at the time, celebrating his bar exam, passing his bar exam in a bomb shelter in the war zone, when it was going on, with real fears of whether or not he would be able to make it home. I students who have family in Israel who also were really concerned about their family. As the reports came out, that recognition that the individuals who both were wounded, were killed in the attacks, represented all walks of life in Israel, both Jewish and Arab, Jewish, Christian, Muslim, and Druze residents of Israel were all targeted during this attack. That part of it is to both condemn that violence and also that recognition of how that affects us and our community here, that it wasn't just an isolated, this is not just something that happened in a place on the map that we don't know. These are real families and real residents who are in our communities, in our schools, in our county. And then since then, when I first presented, I brought it to economic development. At that time, tabled it because of more things that were escalating at that time, and added in some of the discussion of the anti-Semitic attacks that are happening in our county. That since then we have had a synagogue in Wallingford that has had a bomb threat. I have students, former students on Penn's campus and Drexel's campus, who are scared to go to class because of some of the language that is happening. And also that other recognition too, that we do have many members of our community who are Muslim who are also afraid. Recently there was a killing of somebody. It was a murder at the Masjid in Upper Darby, and there was real fear initially that somebody was being targeted, and there were attacks were happening. So it's really that recognition of the condemnation of Hamas. This is a condemnation of a terrorist organization that did something that was unspeakable, and then also that recognition of the impacts that it has on us locally, that we have tried over the years in Lansdowne to be a place that recognizes and respects everybody. We were no place for hate community very early, as designated by the Anti-Defamation League. And I think it's that recognition of who we are, what our values are as a community, to stand up and say that this is not acceptable. It's not acceptable that this attack happened. We care for the members of our community, and then also that we care and will continue to be that place that rejects anti-Semitic rhetoric and anti-Semitic violence, and also respects the citizens. So the resolution is there. It's up for a discussion, and that's the proposal that I'm making for all of council. Okay, hearing none, we do have it down below for a vote, so we can have further discussion at that point. Mayor Byrne?
when we get to this,
Yeah.
I would appreciate it if you read this
Okay,
when it passes.
okay, thank you. I'll do that. And it is online if people want to read it, that we put our resolutions up for people to read as proposals. Okay, hearing none, we take a motion to move into public comment.
So moved.
Thank you. Is moved by Vice President Najee Taylor. Is there a second? Seconded by Councilmember Curry. Any discussion concerning this item? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. At this time, if there are any residents or members of the audience who would like to approach council and give public comment, please state your name and place of residence for the record, and also keep your comments to 5 minutes or fewer. There are individuals both in the Zoom room as well in the public. I'm going to start here in the public room. Thank you. Brett?
Hi, everybody. I'm Heather Giardinelli Cronin at 102 Madison Road, and thank you all for your service and being here tonight. I want to make a comment tonight and support the resolution against anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and condemning Hamas. I am a Christian, I'm not Jewish, but I am married to a Jewish man, and this has been an eye-opening experience for me. I grew up, I am obviously white, I am Protestant, Anglo-Saxon, not exactly the type of person that is persecuted for their looks or beliefs. But you know, a week or two ago, my husband pointed out to me that they want to kill him, right? I have family in Israel, people that I love very, very much, 3 of which are currently serving in the IDF. I've been to seminary, I've studied the scriptures. This is not an argument against theology. This is not a political argument. This is good versus evil, and we must stand on the side of good. So I strongly encourage you all to take up this resolution and stand on the side of right. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you. We'll move back into the room. There's anybody in the room who'd like to approach council?
Yeah.
Thank you.
My name is Jim Lemish, members of Lansdowne Borough Council. Please make a public
I'm
statement.
sorry, if I could just state your place of residence for the record.
Sorry about Havertown.
Thank you.
Members of Lansdowne Borough Council, please make a public statement that condemns Islamophobia, Hamas, and anti-Semitism. By passing a resolution, you are making a humane effort to prevent those forces from existing in Lansdowne Borough. You will be condemning hate. Words are important. I wish for none of those influences to exist in Lansdowne. Islamophobia and anti-Semitism are equally ugly. Words are charged with electricity and become personal. Rather, they become political and personal. I identify as Jewish. Anti-Semitism is personally unpleasant for me. In the same way as dislike of Muslims is personal and wrong. I've lived here for 25 years. My Jewish kids grew up here. My business was in this area for 25 years. On Madison Avenue, Clifton Heights. In other words, I'm local. I could pass for any white nationality that exists in this county, and there are a lot of them. I've shopped at Aldi, the Giant, Darrow's Music. I went to the Lansdowne and Yaden theaters years ago, just like some of you. I'm not different from anybody else. We all want a good life. I think that stereotypes and assumptions of all kinds are meaningless. They are imaginary, and sadly, they give incentives to dislike, or worse, to distrust or downgrade or misunderstand others. Please kindly make a statement against Islamophobia, Hamas, and anti-Semitism.
Thank you. Okay, hearing none, we'll move back into the room here. Thank you.
I'd like to say something. My name is Tzvi Altheim, and I live in Broomall. I'm the rabbi of the Chabad Jewish Center of Delaware County. So we serve the entire Delaware County. This is a synagogue and Jewish center affiliated with the largest Jewish group today in the world, Chabad. So obviously I feel this is and I'm here to support the resolution. First of all, thank you for bringing it up. Thank you for letting us. It's of course very personal to who I am as a Jew, and also because we have members of our congregation who've lost very close friends, who have children or grandchildren fighting today in the IDF, and one in fact has lost a grandson. But I think why this is important is less about the particular, of course it's personal, but it's something much more fundamental than that. And I think people generally today in the discussions kind of move the discussion away from anti-Semitism, Hamas, or Islamophobia into the political discussion of what's going on in Israel. Are you for the government or against the government, and the peace process, the two-state solution, and all of that, which is, of course, I have my opinions on that, and we can have a discussion about that, and that's important discussions. It's not so important necessarily for Lansdowne Borough or for any township meeting in the United States. But what is important with this is, as you mentioned earlier, good versus evil. For any civilized society to function, you have to have something's right and something's wrong. There could be differences as to what that is and what is not, but there are some things which should be wrong to everyone, and if they're wrong, then they have to be stopped. Much of our society and the world at large, moral code is based on the Bible, or specifically in the Ten Commandments. And if you look at that, so the first half you have the discussions about one God, believe in God, the religious aspects in a certain way. And the other half, the first three are: do not kill, do not commit adultery, and do not steal. Now, stealing, just a piece of information, in the Jewish reading of that, in the particular context of the Ten Commandments, refers to not specifically, generally stealing, but specifically kidnapping, which is the capital crime. And it's as bad as murder or so on. When you look at the actions of Hamas on October 7th, you're basically dealing with some form of these three worst crimes up there, right? I'm not going to share here the atrocities or because this is all easily publicly available. But once you enter, when you look into what they've done, and we're only hearing part of it, some are Congress people who've seen this, I think yesterday, the day before, journalists, and we know that this is, and even that is only hearing some of what went on and how horrifying it is, and there's no precedent. Even the Nazis didn't act with such behaviors. So if we don't have the moral standing to tell our communities, our families, our children, our grandchildren that this is wrong, whatever side of the political aisle you are, whatever you believe, whatever you think about the situation in Israel, but this is wrong, this has to be stopped, then you have a real moral problem. So I encourage you all to vote the right way, to make that statement for yourselves, for your families, and for your communities. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Rabbi Lisa Malik. I used to be the rabbi in Havertown at the Suburban Jewish Community Center of B'nai Aaron, which in 2011 merged with Out of Israel Congregation. But I'm speaking to you today not as a rabbi, but as the granddaughter of Holocaust survivors. And I want to echo what others have said about Hamas and about what happened on October 7th. And about the need to condemn evil, but particularly with the background of being a Holocaust survivor's granddaughter. I want to read you a paragraph from a letter that I wrote with the help of some of my rabbinic colleagues that we sent to our non-Jewish neighbors. And it says this paragraph: you might or might not understand the historical lens with which we receive these images from October 7th, a history of mutilated Jewish bodies and killing Jews for sport. To say that Saturday, October 7th was Israel's Pearl Harbor underestimates the sorrow and the rage of the moment. At least the Japanese attackers had the dignity to focus upon military targets. They did not celebrate the animalistic torture of children, women, families. Candy was not passed out on the streets of Tokyo when the news of dead Americans was received. To see these images of tortured Jews invokes ghosts passed down from our great-grandparents and beyond. We bear both the guilt and the shame that it has happened again. So I wanted to thank all of you for considering this resolution and strongly urge you to pass it.
Thank you. And just for the record, I don't know, did you state your address, place of
I
residence?
live now in Winwood, Pennsylvania.
Okay, thank you.
I'm a South African. I'm Jewish. And I hear the talk that Israel is an apartheid state. That is absolutely a fabrication. I come from an apartheid state. I'm living in America. I've been here 30 years because I had to get away from the apartheid way of life. And I have to make every excuse under the sun why I stayed there for 35 years of my life. There was government, television and news that was force-fed us. It was not. We didn't see what went on as white people in the white areas where the true Africans were housed and kept out of the areas. Only much later we found out exactly what was going on, hence I'm in the US. So, Mr. President, thank you for bringing up. I love what you had to say in the resolution you proposed. Please, everybody, think about it. Good has to triumph over evil. You can't have savage behavior in this world, and that was worse than savage. So thank you very much.
Thank you. If you could, again, for the record, your name, place of residence.
Jack Todas, and I'm from Brumel.
Thank you. And do you mind spelling your last name?
Todes.
Thank you. Anybody from the Zoom room? Okay, moving back into the room here. Thank you. Please state your name and place of residence.
Deborah Selber, and I live in Winwood. This day is a very personal day to me. I mean, what happened in October 7th, we call it the Black Saturday right now. This is what we refer to. A cousin of mine was one of the murderers, together with 260 other young people that went to the music festival. And another cousin of mine is a hostage in Gaza right now. Both of them just went over to have a beautiful dancing, singing, having a beautiful, peaceful night. What Hamas stating in their statement is erasing the Jewish people, that we don't have the right to exist, that we don't have the right for the country, the place where I was born, Israel. And I just wanted to support this resolution because my family and a lot of them fighting right now in the IDF, and a lot of them are doing their job right now to protect the country that we as Jewish people today feel more strongly about how important it is to have this little country that if you look at the map, you see exactly what it is, even though the noise that we're making is a lot larger than the country itself. But this is the only place that me, as a Jewish person, and my family, and all of us here, will probably, if we need it, this is the only place that wouldn't turn us down. And we know that at the time of the Holocaust, plenty of people were trying to get into United States, into England, into so many places that they stop them in the port and send them back to the ovens. Israel is not only a place, this is our insurance, our home insurance for all of us. And I think that this resolution is really something that me as a Jewish person, me as a Moroccan, my family is from Morocco. This is where my parents ran away from. We have to make sure that anti-Semitism is not something that is accepted, is not something that we should accept anywhere in the world. And this is why I'm here, and I will appreciate the support of everybody. And this is just wanted you to see all these pictures of old people, young people, Arab, Jews, a lot of people that are, all of them are right now, we don't know where they are, kidnapped, because the Red Cross is not allowed to go there. Nobody knows anything about these people. And this is what Israel has to deal with because we are Jews. And thank you for listening to me.
My name is Beth Laurie Ladenheim, and I live in Wynwood. I'm a third generation American, and my whole life I've never seen anti-Semitism coming out like this, the way it is, and it's terrifying because not only are there are so many people supporting what I'm going to say, the Palestinian cause, but it's really they're supporting Hamas, who wants to not only murder and wipe off every Jew out of Israel, but they want to come and wipe us out here and anywhere else in the world. And then they're going to come after the Christians, and then they're going to come after the Hindus, and then they want the whole world. Okay, that's their goal. So we're just the canary in the coal mine. And it's always been like that, but now it is enormous and loud and gruesome and disgusting what they did to people. And they did it to people from all different countries. They didn't care who was from Hong Kong and who was from Singapore or whatever. They didn't care. They just wanted to kill people and do it in the most disgusting way possible, beheading people, tying babies up together and burning them, putting a live baby in an oven while the parents watched, and then they killed the parents. I mean, it's just like, you can't even see something like this in a movie, God forbid. It's so horrible. They're coming after all of us. Doesn't matter who you are. They want the world. I really support your bringing up this resolution. I applaud you. I think it's fantastic, and I support it.
The next item, I move to adopt resolution 2023-33 condemning Hamas violence, anti-Semitism, and Islamophobia. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. It's been seconded. As asked by Mayor Byrd, I'm going to read the resolution into the record. Whereas the Council of the Borough of Lansdowne unequivocally condemns the attacks by Hamas and any harm that falls upon innocent civilians in Israel and Palestine and the occupied territories. And whereas at the end of Sukkot, just before 7 o'clock a.m. local time, a rocket attack perpetrated by the terrorist organization Hamas began to hit major cities, including Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, and Hamas fighters ferociously targeted civilians, kidnapping, killing, and leaving a trail of terror in the territorial state of Israel, precipitating a conflict in which thousands on both sides have been killed. And whereas the Hamas attacks targeted both Israeli Jews and Arabs, undermining the peaceful coexistence and harmony that must undergird any resolution to the ongoing political conflict. And whereas violence and terrorism can never be justified as a means to achieve political goals, dialogue, negotiation, and peaceful resolutions are the only viable paths towards lasting peace and stability. And whereas the United States House of Representatives passed a bipartisan resolution by a vote of 412 to 9 condemning the attacks by Hamas on men, women, and children. And whereas the United States President Joseph Biden recognized the right of Israel to defend itself against the Iranian-backed Hamas attacks on men, women, and children, and pledged to support the United States to protect United States citizens affected by the conflict. And whereas the governor of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, ordered the flags of the United States and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to fly at half-staff to honor the lives lost in Israel, and stated, quote, the attacks on innocent Israeli citizens to be abhorrent and warranting world condemnation and outrage. End quote. And whereas the conflict initiated by Hamas will result in the further loss of innocent life from both Jewish and Palestinian residents in Israel and Gaza as the conflict escalates. And whereas Council recognizes the importance of supporting the state of Israel, a democratic nation that shares our values of freedom, democracy, and human rights in its efforts to protect its citizens from acts of terrorism, ensure their safety and security. And whereas Council acknowledges the suffering and loss experienced by innocent Palestinians in the ongoing conflict and believes that a just and lasting peace can only be achieved through a negotiated settlement that respects the rights and national aspirations of both Israelis and Palestinians. And whereas numerous families in the Borough of Lansdowne are impacted by the loss of life of friends and family in Israel by the attacks, the taking of hostages, and news of the desecration of bodies by Hamas terrorists, and the growing reports of anti-Semitism and Islamophobia in our region and in our nation. And whereas the Borough of Lansdowne has endeavored in the past and still endeavors in the present to be a no place for hate community, as designated by the Anti-Defamation League, and condemns the targeting of any residents based upon race, religion, sexual identity, gender identity, national origin, age, among other groups. Now, therefore, it be resolved, the Borough Council of Lansdowne supports our residents in condemning the escalation of violence in Israel by Hamas. Furthermore, the Borough of Lansdowne joins with our Jewish friends and neighbors in grieving for their friends and family and reject anti-Semitic attacks and rhetoric. Similarly, the Borough Council rejects attacks on Muslims in our community and Islamophobic attacks. Likewise, the Borough joins with our neighbors and laments the loss of innocent Palestinian and Jewish life in the escalating conflict. So that is the resolution. At this time, is there any discussion concerning the resolution?
I would just like to say that it is definitely a stand against any terroristic group, but we also need to be in the 2023 against any killing of any innocent civilians, children, elderly. That should not be accepted on either side.
Thank you. Any further discussion concerning this resolution? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Okay, at this time then, I would take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you. The motion has been moved by Vice President Najee Taylor, I believe, second by Councilmember Curry. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned. And I would like to thank all the folks who came out. Thank you so much.
Excellent job.
Great job.
Mr. Turner, turn off
I
that.
did a great